what I want you to do is keep these windows side by side so that you know the field that you're trying to create here on your left window, and you have a reference to your recording on your right. Select the source field on your left and click on the new button here, and the first field that you want to create in this structure is BUKRS, which is the company code. So go type in BUKRS and then give a description of company code. How many characters can a company code be? It's 4 characters. It's not 10 characters. So I'm going to type in 4 and click OK. But how do I know that the customer master's company code field is 4 characters? Well, you have to do a little trick there. So let me open another window and tell you how to identify what's the character length of a particular field in the recording. So let me open FD01 and click OK. In another window, again, place your cursor on the company code field and then hit F1, which is the help button. Okay. Then it'll open this little pop-up, and then click on the 4th button in the pop-up, which is the technical information button, the one that looks like a toolbox. Click on that, it'll open another pop-up where you can see the field name and the data element. You can double click on either of this, either field name or data element. So I'm double clicking on BUKRS, and it's going to open the data dictionary for BUKRS, and it says that in this case it's of type character of length 4. Now, most of the time you can use common sense to determine the length of the fields, but in case you are not aware of the length of the fields, this is the method that you would have to do. You'd have to only do it once, right? So I'm done with this and I'm closing this window. Coming back to the third step where we are creating the fields in the structure. The first field that I've created is BUKRS. It's a company code, character type, and length 4. So similarly, using this new button and having this recording handy, I'm going to create all the different fields in the structure that I want to use as inputs for this recording. Alright, so once again, through the magic of editing, I've created all the different fields in the structure, and I'm going to save this guy. We are done with step number 3. Now you can close this other window and maximize the first window. Alright, we are in step number 4. This is really a simple step. All you have to do is select that field, go into it, and assign the structure to the recording. So on the left we have a recording, and on the right we have the structure. So the source structure is being assigned to the recording. Now this is useful in case you have more than one structure that can be associated with a recording. One example of this is when you have when you want to tie in multiple partners. Let's say for a SOL 2, you want to have the data for the SOL 2 in one structure and the data for all the partners. This is the customer data, this is the partner data, and for example this could be the tax classification data for different countries. In such cases you could have the first structure represent this, the second structure represent this, the third structure represent this, and they could all be assigned to a single recording called the SOL 2. That's a more complicated scenario, but we don't want to really get there. We have only one simple structure here, which is the cust_fin structure, which has all the fields that we have identified as part of our customer master recording, and that's been assigned to this recording using these little arrows here. And you click on save. Go back. Go to the 5th step, which is maintain field mappings and conversion rules. This is where we're going to map the fields in the structure to the actual hooks in the recording. So select that 5th step and click on execute, and we have the structure here, which is BUKRS KTalkD blah blah blah, and click on the change button, and you have to select the source fields here. Now, how do you select the source field? This is actually the hooks of the recording that I was talking about. These are all the different elements of the data that you've entered as part of the recording. So I called them hooks there when I was doing the recording, right? So each of these hooks have to be mapped to fields in our structure. We have created a structure with a bunch of fields in the previous steps, and each of these hooks in the recording has to be mapped to the respective field in the structure. If you don't have a mental map of how they needs to be mapped, this is where the names come to help you. Now, all along, if you remember, either during the recording or during the creation of the structure, I have stuck with a particular naming convention. In this case, whatever the technical name is. So now it's easy to map. I'll show you how easy it's going to be to map this recording hooks to the source structure. So select any particular hook in the recording, click on the change button, and click on the source field, and this is the structure with its corresponding source fields. Okay, now you see the order is haphazard, they're not really in order, but it doesn't matter as long as you identify the right field. So Booker's BUKRS, which is the company code, is here. So select that and click OK. There you go. The source structure has been mapped to the recording. Similarly, you can select each of these fields, go to the source field, and select the corresponding field in the source structure, which is KTalkD, and click OK. If there is a difference in the length between the source structure and the recording, it gives you some warning saying, hey, the source field is long or source field is short, or there is a character versus numeric, so on and so forth. You can go back and correct them. If you want to delete a mapping, just go select that field in the recording and then click on this button, which will delete that rule or mapping. This is the more cumbersome way of doing it. But if you have your nomenclature right, if you have identified all the fields properly, there is a special way through which you can automatically map all these different fields without having to individually map these fields. Go to Extras, Auto Field Mapping, and it gives you a bunch of options. So say no confirmation and click OK. And it says auto field mapping complete. Click OK, and there you go. It has automatically done the field mapping for you. How is it happening? It does it based on the names. So if it's Bookers here and Bookers here, so it knows automatically to follow some kind of a fuzzy logic to map the right fields from between the source structure and the recording. Now you can as well go back and check it to make sure that it has done a good job. For example, Sortel, is that being mapped to the right field in the recording? Yes, Sortel versus Sortel, right? So if you got your namings right, LSMW can do the bulk of this mapping stuff automatically for you. Okay, save it and go back. Believe it or not, you're done with your LSMW design. Remember, we said the first 5 steps is the design part. We are done with the LSMW design for customer master mapping. It's cool, right? All right, and we said we are not going to do step number 6. It's not necessary now. All right, the next series of steps of 7 or 8 different steps is going to be not all that complicated. It's all about running the LSMW that we have designed in step number 1 through 5.